All right, welcome back. It's good to be part of the Vintage Super League again.
Yeah, it feels good for one of us.
Yeah, that was a tough match. Sometimes you just don't cast spells against shops.
Yeah, I mean, as always, I think against shops, especially in a control matchup, the die roll is hugely important too, because getting to go first and getting to establish the board, it makes a lot of his strategies less effective, as witnessed by game 2. I was able to get on the board before he could even play sphere effects and start casting spells. Whereas game 1, I think if I went first, I win that game, or if I draw a land. So it's tough. I mean, but that's how shops operates. I'm not salty or complaining. Sometimes you lose those matches. I'm just happy I got to get one game in. So at least my tiebreakers, I still got that game in case it comes down to it.
You still got that one, and certainly in game 2, the time walk for value helped a lot. Like, you get an extra land drop, and you get to flash it back later to finish things off.
Yeah, game 2 felt really good. Game 2 goes about how it usually goes when I play that matchup. I mean, I have 3 Stony Silence, 4 Swords to Plowshares, and a Fragmentize, and bring in another Fragmentize, another Stony Silence. After sideboard, the Stony Silence, used to not be as effective against the shops decks because all it really stopped was a few moxes because they had things like Lodestone Golem to beat you down. But pretty much all the creatures, besides the Revoker and occasionally the 3/2 Foundry guy, have activated abilities like Ravager with a Stony Silence or even Walking Ballista and Hangerback Walker are not as nearly as good as they are without it. So it's pretty effective against them, but you got to be able to cast your spells for it to work out.
It seems like one of those cards where you just need the window. Like, either you drop it super early, or if you're starting to turn the corner on shops, I think you're going to help tremendously from keeping them from catching back up. I mean, being able to stop Ballista is really important for the Mentor deck.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, he had the restricted Chalice, because I think my opening hand, game 3, is solid against this deck. It is a little loose to Chalice, which is a restricted card, but I didn't like it also because it only had 2 mana sources, and I felt like on the play, if he plays, turn 1 Sphere Effect, turn 2 Wasteland, I might not ever be able to cast my spells either, and I kind of wanted to mulligan for either maybe a Force of Will or just some more mana sources. But in the end, I kept it, and it looks like hindsight, maybe I should have mullied. I never got to cast my spells. But again, I mean, that is a restricted card, Chalice of the Void. It's not something you can really plan your opening hand against and how you're going to play out.
Yeah, I don't think you can possibly plan around Chalice, and I don't think you can bank on more mana sources out of a 6-card hand.
Yeah, I think it was just more mana sources combined with maybe a Force of Will to stop a first turn Sphere Effect or Chalice or something like that on the first turn. But that's how it goes. I'm excited about getting to play, some more Magic in the league and not having to play a Shops deck. I get to play against a combo deck that hopefully doesn't kill me turn 1 and a Mentor Mirror deck. So at least I know one of my matches I will get some turns and get to play out of the 3 for the night. But coming up, we have Rachel against Webb, which is kind of the same matchup you just saw. I don't recall, did she have Stony Silence in her main deck also? Do we have her deck list? Yeah, we do. So she doesn't have Stony Silence in the main deck. She does have a Sudden Shock. And I don't see what else she has that my deck was lacking. Just has a Library of Alexandria. So it looks like it's going to be a similar matchup to what you just saw. Probably a little worse off for her, but I think if she does win the die roll and is able to get on the board, like I said, then she'll be all right. But being on the play is going to be rough against, as you saw. So I think the players are ready, so let's get down to the match. All right. Rachel's hand, she does have a Force of Will. She has a Mox, so she can play a turn 2 Mentor. Pretty solid hand here for her. Webb, on the other hand, has a Workshop, which is great for casting his spells, but he doesn't have a lot to do with it besides if he plays a Sphere Effect, then he's kind of restricting himself without more mana to follow up. And she won the die roll, so...
Yeah, I mean, him having the Workshop, of course, is great. It's just his draw is going to be really choppy if he doesn't draw more mana sources. It's just one spell a turn.
Yeah, and unfortunately, on the draw against the Mentor deck, I don't think one spell a turn is going to be enough to do it.
Yeah, almost never.
So it looks like he's going to Workshop and get a Sphere on the table, which if she Force of Wills, she's going to be all in on this Mentor in her draw phase, which I would if I were her, and she does.
Yeah, I mean, even though it leaves you with just Mentor, I don't think you want to face down that Sphere.
Yeah, and a Resolved Mentor, I mean, before the days of Walking the List, a Resolved Mentor was just, your win rate was off the charts once you landed one, because they didn't really have a lot of ways to get rid of it except for the occasional Triskelion, and then just by casting any spells, you were generating value. But now with Walking Ballista, there is some danger. I mean, theoretically, if he had a mana and a Ballista in his hand, he could play a Ballista and just kill it, and now she's just down to a Jace.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's going to go with a Foundry Inspector instead of the Sphere Effect, because it's not likely you want to lock yourself out when you're facing down a Mentor. He wants to make his spells cheaper so that he can cast multiple spells a turn, and Foundry Inspector does that greatly with a Mistress Workshop out.
Yeah, and I think it plays back into what we were saying. On the draw against a Mentor deck, one spell a turn is just never going to cut it.
But she found the best card to find with the Mentor out, a Gush, which found more spells. So it looks like this game is going to be over before it even starts. And a Time Walk and another Mox. This could be the turn 2 B kill from the Mentor.
Yeah, this one's pretty much over.
Wow, what a draw. So how big is that? That's a 6/6, so she's going to go to 14. And it looks like if she's able to... Oh, and she can also flash back the Time Walk with the Jace Friend's Prodigy on her next turn. So I believe this is going to be the turn 2 C kill.
Being on the play is good.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll do it. Hey, I can't say anything about good draw steps.
So Webb can chump here, but I think even by chumping, if he trades with the Monastery Mentor, he takes 8 and goes to 6. So all she needs to do is cast a spell, which she has, and now they're lethal, and that's game.
That will do it.
So I guess it's turn 3C to be technical, right? Because she went first and took turn 1 and turn 2. Now for little show-offs, play some more spells to overkill, put him -9.
Yeah, that will do it.
All right. So her sideboard, she's got some Ingot Chewers, which are actually excellent in this matchup if she can keep red mana. They allow her to play artifact removal through Chalice and Thorn of Amethyst, because even though it costs 1, it's still converted mana cost is 5, and it's still a creature spell, so Thorn doesn't affect it. So Ingot Chewers are great. The Sudden Shock is great against creatures like Arcbound Ravager, because he's not able to sacrifice things to save it, or even pop off the Hangerback Walker counters. So she's got.
I think it's going to be a little more difficult for her to hold on to colored mana, though. I noticed when you were playing Web, you had a basic Plains. I'm not seeing one in her deck right now.
Well, she would need a basic Mountain more important than a Plains. You want your anti.
Right, but I mean,
yeah.
I just mean any basic at all is awfully important.
Does she have Island? I can't see. It's kind of small.
I'm not seeing any basic.
Yeah, I have 2 islands and 1 plains after sideboard. It's important to always have, if you can't afford it, a basic land of your hate card types, so that you can use that basic land to play your sideboard cards to kind of break out and be able to cast the rest of your cards. So a basic mountain would actually be more important than a basic island here for her, but it looks like she doesn't have one. So she's going to have to be very aware of when to fetch out red sources and to kind of save them until she's about to use them, so she doesn't get caught by Wasteland and Strip Mine and not be able to cast her cards. Because you've seen many blue mages die with their sideboard cards in their hand against a shop's deck with no mana to cast it.
Absolutely. And so Webb is looking at what will he be bringing in.
There's not a lot of sideboarding you do in this matchup. I mean, you're pretty much already prepared for it. It looks like he took some Tangle Wires out. I don't know. I mean, they were really good against me, and it's kind of a similar matchup. I mean, obviously they're bad if the Mentor gets going because they have tokens to tap. But if that's out, you're probably losing anyway. So it looks like he took out some Tangle Wires, brought in a Dismember.
He boarded out Tangle Wires against you also.
Oh, he boarded them out. Okay, they were just fantastic in that first game.
Yeah, they were incredible in game 1, and they had done their job, and they got to rest on the bench.
So Webb will be on the play, and again, he has a turn 1 Chalice for 1 if he wants it. He's also got a Thorn. Triskelion, a little slow.
This is really the same situation he was in against you, where he still has turn 1 Chalice for 1 and a Resistor piece. Now, the other side of the table has 2 Force of Wills.
She's got a Force of Will and white mana to cast her Plow, and he doesn't have a Wasteland or a Strip Mine as of now, so it looks like she'll be able to hold on to that. So now the choice is, does he want to lead off with a Thorn, or does he want to lead off with a Chalice for 1? I kind of like, he could also Chalice 0 and then play the Thorn, but there's not a lot of Moxes in the Mentor decks these days, and Chalice for 1 is just way more backbreaking than Chalice for 0. It turns out if he led with a Thorn and Chalice for 0, he would shut off the Mox in her hand and she would have to force a will the Thorn. But it looks like he's just going to go for the Chalice for 1 because it's that backbreaking.
Yeah, I was mistaken. I thought he had another artifact mana to get both of them out on turn 1.
Well, if he could do that, then it's interesting because obviously you don't want to lead with the Thorn because then you can't cast your Chalice, but it would be cool to kind of bait with the Thorn because they kind of have to force a will it. So now he can revoke the Mox. Which is pretty rough because it does, like I said, just shut off all the sideboard cards. Now she's got to find, if she does need to cast a red card, has to find a land first.
Yeah, it just starts to get tough.
Now, I believe he has a land drop left also, so he can play an Ancient Tomb and a Thorn of Amethyst. Yep. But see, the problem is, by going this order, now she knows she has to Force of Will this Thorn.
Yeah,
but there's a chance.
Absolutely has to.
There's a chance that he played the Thorn first. She might have thought, well, I still have a Mox and a Tundra, so I kind of want to hold off and see if I can get something more important. And he could have then followed it up with the Revoker.
Sure.
Wow, and she drew another Plow. Incredible. And then got Jure.
It's great as long as she can hold on to the colored mana sources.
Interesting choice here. I mean, I think she's preordaining to find mana, but against these decks, sometimes it's a little bit of a gamble because if you don't and somehow you get wastelanded, then you get stuck with that in your hand. I like to just go ahead and get the threats off the board right away sometimes, but it's a balance. It's really tough. No, she's gonna. Obviously, you can say just go ahead and get the Ravager with the Plow in hand. You could get the Mox to kind of bottleneck his mana. If you think he doesn't have more and keep him on 3, he'll eat the Mox, and then next turn you can Plow the Ravager. It's a little risky. I think that's super risky because you're gonna, if he does draw Wasteland, then you end up with a bigger Ravager as a threat. I would have made the play that she just made.
Yeah, oh wow!
What happened? Oh, he sacrificed.
I would have gone for the Ravager. No, I don't have.
Let's talk about what he just did. Did you notice what he did? He sacrificed both his permanents so that she had to destroy her own Mox because there were no other artifacts in play, and then he followed up with the Thorn because he knew she was stuck on 1 land, so he tried to kind of put her where she can't cast any spells. So he sacrificed both his permanents, which is actually a kind of tricky play.
Yeah, this is a tough spot. I mean, luckily for her, she has Treasure Cruise. But.
Yeah, and then that Treasure Cruise got her lots of mana, and she was able to find another Ingot Chewer. So it was a risky play that didn't quite work out for him, but he would have been in the same spot, if not worse, due to the Plow and the other Ingot Chewer anyways. But it was a cool play, because if she doesn't have a land there in Treasure Cruise, she's actually going to be stuck on 1 land against the Thorn.
Yeah, I think it was definitely the right angle there. I mean, he's many turns in against the Mentor deck. She's already obviously constrained on resources, so...
So now he's got an interesting choice. He could bounce the Jace with the Caracas, or he could play Triskelion and shoot it. I kind of like bouncing it because you want to save that Triskelion for a Mentor, because once you shoot it, unlike Ballista, you can't charge it up.
Mm-hmm.
And it only has 3 counters, and if you use 2 on a Jace, then you've got a 1 counter on it, which doesn't really do you much good. Unfortunately, though, that's just going to mean he should just be sitting back, just bouncing this Jace every turn. And unless he draws another land that's not a Caracas, he won't be able to actually get mana on the board.
Well, he can always bounce Jace, play the other Caracas, and get Triskelion on the board.
Yeah, I think, let's see, 3. I think that's what he's thinking of right now, right? Because he could play land, Mana Crypt, and Triskelion.
Yeah.
He chose not to. Jace is back. She's also got Swords mana available. Building toward that dig through time. Well, that'll cast the Triskelion without having to put a Mana Crypt in play.
Yeah, it was right on time.
He didn't bounce the Jace, so she could have it as Force of Will fodder, which is kind of interesting. I think if he bounces it now and she happens to have Force and no blue card, she would be able to counterspell, so he wants to bounce it afterwards.
Yeah, some really sharp technical play. Some of the finer points that I would certainly miss if I was in the pilot seat there.
And she's able to source that Triskelion. He decides he'd rather do damage than gain life, so he's not planning on Mana Crypt. And just in time, here comes the Monastery Mentor, which had he held on to the swords, he would be able to kill. But instead, he's got nothing but mana, and most of his threats aren't going to be good enough against the Monastery Mentor with Dig Through Time in hand, which she will be able to cast with 4 cards in her graveyard and 4 mana available. And now a Gush. Gush does cost 3, though, with Trinisphere, so she's just going to be able to dig through time and start making monks.
Yeah, I mean, when those cards are making monks, it's still worth the 3 mana.
But it looks like to me she's going to be 2-0 unless something goes terribly wrong, which means you are the only one who could still 3-0 the group. And I'm the only one that could 0-3.
Well, her and I have already played, so... yeah. Yeah, she'll be 1-1, Web will be 1-1.
So the 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 0-3 is still in play. Your win was 2-0, and it looks like, oh, Ballistic, oh, she has a Force of Will and a blue card. Oh, but Trinisphere is out, so she can't stop it. So if he can make 3, if he can get 6 mana, which he does, he can kill both the creatures. He has exactly 6 available. And if he decides to play the Mana Crypt, he can't because it costs 3. I was saying he could play the Mana Crypt and be able to play it for 4 to keep it alive, but it looks like he won't be able to. Am I missing something? Why did he didn't have to do that, correct? He has 1 extra mana. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, he wanted to make it a 4/4. That's why.
There we
So
go.
keep it around. But unfortunately, it looks like he's going to kill the creatures, and she's going to play a DAC, and he's just going to have to suicide it before she takes it. Or does DAC -2? So it goes to 1.
DAC's -2.
He just has to kill the DAC. And
if she tries to take it, it'll trade off for DAC. I don't think she'll go that round. Well, with 2 DACs, she might.
I think even with 1, well, I mean, you can't leave it around. He's just going to keep charging it up. And you can't say go, and you can't play your Jace because she can eat it. I think you have to just let them trade off, even if you only had 1.
I don't know, even if you just play it and take his Mox Sapphire, he's not charging it up. I mean, then it's down to 1 again, but I mean, it just depends on what incremental advantages you're looking for. I mean, he'll just attack into it and kill it, but I don't know, I could see... You don't really have anything you want to discard, so I think you're right. I think you just get it off the table.
Yeah, I had a pretty gruesome DAC. It was the 2 cards I drew. I wanted all 4 of them: Stony Silence, Plow, the Wasteland, and the White Mana. I like to keep Plow, and I like to keep the Stony and the Wasteland because I felt like I could stop the fast mana and Wasteland them and kind of bottleneck them. And it turned out it worked out against me, but I'm not too disappointed in it because it's still. Was that the game I won though? I think that actually might have been the game I won. Yeah, because I kept a hand with just a bunch of plows for game 3, so I ended up winning that game anyways. Tangle Wire here is an interesting. I mean, I think you have to play it. What else is it in your deck for? It's going to buy him some valuable time and tap her out so that she won't be able to keep up Force of Will mana if you do draw any threats. So I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it buys a few turns here that with the Tangle Wire or with the Trinister.
No, I think he has to play it. I mean, you can't just. You have to assume she hasn't played a land. She has 4 business spells at least. Even if a counter spell or 2 are in there, the other 2 are cards that you want to prevent her from casting.
Absolutely.
She could actually gush in her upkeep if she floats some mana here. I mean, she doesn't have a land, so she would get that land drop right back. She'd only be losing 1 land drop. So I think that's actually probably the play.
I'm just trying to think. I mean, it's
Because
also tough when you're staring down having untapped. Well, everything costs 3. Yeah, it's probably
costs 3. You're going to be tapping all 4 of these anyways, and then you can just play 1 right back, and then next turn you're going to have to tap 3, and so you can just play the land in your hand again also because you're not going to be able to cast spells anyways, assuming your draw phase is in a land to help you have 2 mana open, which doesn't do you any good of the transfer out anyways. So I think you kind of have to gush here.
Yeah.
Ooh, and an Engachu. Fantastic. She's unable to play Mox and Engachu this turn, but if she makes it through the Trinisphere, she will be. I mean, through the Tangle Wire, she will be able to play that Shure and kill that Trinisphere. It's weird that he put the text that was on Howling Mine and Winter Orb for a while. If it's untapped, you can't tap that Trinisphere or it shuts off, which is so strange. It's like they went to where they used that template on artifacts, then they took it away and put it on Trinisphere, then they took it away again. I mean, I don't even know if Winter Orb and Howling Mine have that text anymore. I have no idea. It would be great if Spheres said that, because I would wonder, then it makes Tangle Wire less. I think people just wouldn't play Tangle Wire if the Spheres turned off if they were tapped.
I don't know. Tangle Wire can just be pretty incredible at times.
Right, but what's incredible about this is how asymmetrical it is, because you can tap things like Sphere and Tangle Wire itself. I think if your Sphere's turned off, it might not be as good. So a Wasteland is a great draw here. You can kill the red mana source like we talked about, because she's getting close to being able to, if she were to draw a land, play that Engachu and kill the Trinisphere and then turn everything on.
And it's funny just seeing how good Tangle Wire is right here, and it's the one Tangle Wire in his deck after sideboarding.
Yeah, I mean, it was great against me. Maybe perhaps the Tangle Wire should be in this matchup. She's got a discard. It's a tough choice. I want every one of those cards if I'm her. The 3 casting cost land has to go. Under Trinosphere, the sphere is kind of redundant and it doesn't do anything on spells that would cost 3 with the additional 1 anyways. They still cost 3. It doesn't make spells cost 4 that would have normally cost 3. But it does make the spells that cost more than 3 have an additional cost. Unfortunately, everything she's playing is cheap.
Yeah, it's going to affect very, very few spells.
Now, if I'm her here, I just go ahead and kill the Trinosphere.
It has to be the card that's causing you the most problems.
I guess she's going to keep up Force of Will.
Yeah, I mean, once she gets through this Tangle Wire, I can't picture what brings Web back into this game, ever.
Yeah, that's the problem with these workshop decks is without the blue card draw and card filter, if you kind of don't get the lock and the immediate pressure on, it's hard to come back because you're just drawing 1 spell a turn and a large percentage of your deck is mana sources.
Yeah, I mean, it's not often that the deck is sitting here dirtling around with no pressure, but it does happen from time to time.
It's weird. I'm wondering why she didn't do that last turn.
I think it was worth leaving Force of Will up.
But if that's the case, then why wouldn't you leave Force of Will up this turn? What's the difference?
Wait, what is she ingaturing?
The Trinosphere.
So Force of Will is...
I get it. I apologize. This time she gets to leave a mana open after the Ingature, before it would have tapped her out. And then, no, my bad. That's why she's going to beat this deck and I'm not. All right, Foundry Inspector. In this situation, just vanilla 3/2.
Yeah, but maybe 3/2 still a clock. It still requires her to use a spell on it, which she happily will. I mean,
I don't know. You got 2 plows in your hand and you got Dak. I mean, I actually think you just Dak and take it. I don't think I Force a Will that.
Oh, I don't think I Force a Will it either. I might just plow it. I don't know that I want to Dak it.
I'm also not a fan of Time Walk when it's not getting you any extra value. And she really just cantripped. She didn't have an extra land drop to make and a few other things. So I'm not sure about that. I'd like to just develop my board and get some extra advantage out of it, like maybe another Planeswalker activation. But she found a Mentor, which is all we wanted. And then she can follow it up with a Black Lotus.
Yeah, now without that Force of Will, though, this game's going to get back to parity, or relative parity, pretty quickly.
Not quite. I mean, he's going to take a lot of damage to kill this Mentor, but then he's going to be at 8 and dealing with a 1/1 prowess guy. That 1/1's going to do the distance. I mean, I'll should cast Dak Fade and it's 2, cycle some cards. Next thing you know, he's got 2 turns.
Yeah, he was already in a situation, I think, that if he didn't draw some business spells over the next couple of turns, he was locked out of this game no matter what, whether there was a 1/1 prowess on the table or not.
Hey, I called it when she resolved the Mentor about 10 minutes ago. The first one, I said, this game is over. We're just going through the motions. Without the early lock and the early crimp on mana, the Mentor deck gets to do its thing. It's good for the Mentor deck. So he's going to actually dismember in response, but it looks like it's making him cast his. He wants to dismember in response because right now she can't Force a Will, and if the Black Lotus resolves, she can. But then it's going to make him take 6 life to do this because he has to take 2 from the Ancient Tomb.
Yeah.
Looks like he's going to do it anyway.
don't know about that. Like, if your opponent has Force of Will, I feel like you're cold to the 1/1 token.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you just save the 2 life and do it on your turn. But now he's got a Ballista, which is going to kill the token. He doesn't use the Ancient Tomb. And we're going to be right back in that same spot where he kills the token. She can DAC and take it. He shoots her, redirects to DAC. DAC's gone. Walking Ballista's gone. And she's sitting with 2 plows in her draw step against a mana-flooded workshop deck. If I'm Webb here, I go ahead and shoot the
Yeah, you just gotta kill it.
token, because she'll have to stack for Lotus to play a spell if she wants prowess, and you have another token if you need to, so you'd have to play 2 spells of the same color that both cost 1, which she happens to have in her hand, but she's definitely not going to play 2 Swords of Plowshares. So I think you can go ahead and kill it right there.
I mean, the Lotus isn't going to fuel 2 1-casting cost spells on its own just because of the sphere, but it's still just the right time to do it. Yeah.
So now she's going to plow the Walking Ballista. He's going to shoot her for 1. Although he might want to go to 7 because it allows him to be on an odd number so that the Ancient Tomb can be tapped an additional time. Man, I'm still thinking back to that Force of Will she used on Foundry Inspector with a handful of plows and a DAC. I mean, that's the kind of perfect guy to DAC because he actually he can't shoot, he can't do anything, and then he allows you to catch your Mox and your Lotus off without the sphere tax. She's looking for another mentor. What happened to the Black Lotus?
It's yarded for something. I mean, it must have been used for the plow and then the extra mana for casting Deck Faden.
All right. Although she has 5 mana sources in play, and together they would cost 6, so yeah. Now this is amazing. She just gets to get through all these lands in her hand that aren't doing anything. And nope, not quite Force of Will mana, because Force of Will costs 7 now. Wow, she's got a plow though, so he gets to revoke her the DAC. She gets to plow it. And if she wants to find a land, she can filter her draw phase through DAC to make sure she has Force of Will up. Stony Silence doesn't do much here, so it's perfect time to use the DAC. And there's the Mentor. So
Yeah, I mean,
Mentor costs 4, Preordain costs 3. You can't quite do both. I think you discard the Stony Silence. I still think you discard the Force of Will, so next turn you can just cast the Preordain because you're not casting this Force of Will anyways. So just keep the Preordain so you can follow up the next turn with Preordain and make a monk.
right. I think you just got to keep keep the Mentor moving.
Yep.
I mean, you're pretty sure at this point your opponent's hand is out of gas.
Pretty rough. If he plays his Foundry Inspector, he has to, but she takes it. It makes her clock exactly 2 turns, assuming she plays a spell. Hit him to 6, and then next turn attack, and she's going to find spells with DAC. So he actually cost himself, and there goes a Mox. I wonder if she can chain enough spells. No, not with 2 spheres out to kill him right away. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, but I'm not picturing what really actually gets him out of this.
No, I don't think he does it. I don't think even a Walking Ballista can shoot down all those guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. He needs 6. He needs to make it a 12. He needs 12 mana. and not using his Ancient Tombs because he's about to get domed for 4 and go to 5.
Yeah, it's just asking too much.
And that'll do it. Rachel Agnes moves to 1-1, 2-2 in games. Webb also moves to 1-1, 2-3 in games. And I believe it is you and I up next.
Yeah, you have to try my hand against Mentor again. I'm hoping it's just a couple of quick games, only a couple of turns. You know, whichever one of us might win.
That deluge was wonderful, by the way. Man.
It was amazing stuff. In all honesty, I just hate Chain of Vapor. Like, so often my Chain of Vapor gets mental misstepped.
Yeah, I mean, Chain of Vapor doesn't cut it against 2 Canonists either. You have to kind of have 2 Chain of Vapors and do one end of turn, 1 main phase. So you had the right answer, and you had the D-Tutor, and that was a fantastic win.
Well, I wasn't even overly thrilled with my hand. I was actually thinking it was like I might pick up a Canonist and then just get a Mentor with it. But when she played the second Canonist, yeah, it felt very lucky.
Yeah, well, hope I can send us all to 1-1. We can have 4 1-1s going into the last 2 matches. But we're going to take a quick break and get ready for our match. And I think it will be Webb and Rachel coming right up.